Welcome back to episode 105 of the Disorganized with This Club podcast. My name is Alex. I'm here as always with Adam.
Hello.
And Cam.
Yes, hello.
And we're a group of Ottawa-based players who play just about anything and everything we can qualify for. We talk about decks, tournament stories, just about anything to help you and ourselves get better at Magic.
Hopefully.
Had to rush through that one. All right. Lots to talk about this week.
That was a busy week.
Two whole GPs.
Two
Standard GPs, man. How blessed.
Finally.
What a world we live in.
About time.
Yeah, man. I'm stoked. Finally, we got a couple big standard tournaments. One by Mono Red.
Yeah, just a green-black meta.
The Ken Yukihiro meme finals.
Yeah.
The Chain Whirler Tempest Digian battle.
This sweet Ravnica standard format. Mono Blue versus Mono Red finals. Oh, yeah.
But wasn't the last Ravnica format also at some point two monocolor decks? Wasn't Night Veil or whatever?
No, that was when it rotated out.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, the first one started with like Jeskai control, blue-white control.
I thought it was Return to
Jeskai
Ravnica Theros that was Devotion decks.
Yeah, but they didn't win.
Oh, okay.
Like Mono Black didn't, like, because there was still, oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, you're right.
You are right.
My bad.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't the green Devotion decks. Sorry, it was the blue and red.
Yeah.
Originally, yeah. Because green was hated out by Lifebane Zombie for the longest time.
Yeah.
But once
there was
Thragtusk, it's when Thragtusk rotated out.
Yeah, because before it was like Junk Reanimator and
Yeah.
Mardu.
You're right.
Mardu Aristocrats, Junk Aristocrats, Jeskai control.
You know what?
Became blue-white, mono-black, mono-blue.
There were a lot of sweet standard decks back then. But man, are there a lot of sweet standard decks now?
Mm-hmm.
Were you joking about, it's blue-red, mono-blue, mono-red, but whole.
Yeah, there was one copy of Mono Blue in the top 8s, and then just a bunch of other stuff all over the top 32.
Yeah, it's just everywhere. And also, that was the Lil Grand Prix.
Is that a rapper?
The one in Lil GP?
Yeah.
Yes. Patrick Chapin's kid. The Return of the Gathering.
Yeah, we kind of had some, not crazy different, but the most popular decks across both tournaments were different, I'd say.
Yeah.
Like the best performing.
From North America to Europe, they're different. Standard looks so diverse, such different strategies and approaches. The winners of the EU is Mono Red and in the finals playing against Mono Blue, but in North America, it's different.
Yeah, North America was Jeskai versus Boros.
Boros Angels.
And then there was a lot of green-white decks that did well in North America, whereas there was a lot of Izzet decks that did well in Lille.
Yeah, in Europe, it was just, and which you pointed out is probably the reason Mono Red top-8'd was that it just beat all the Drake decks all day.
There were so many Drake decks in the top 32.
Yeah, past
So
that
many.
even
Yeah.
further down the list. And there's so many, and they're not beating Mono Red.
No, worst
Experimental
matchup.
Frenzy Mono Red is awful matchup for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As Cam said, wait, it's a bad matchup? I mean, they can't just spend their first couple turns opting.
Yeah. You just opt and you Chemister's Insight and you cast a Chart of Course and discard a card and
They don't play Chemister's Insight, right? They play Radical Ideas.
Well, yeah, whatever. You're just drawing cards, casting spells. You don't need a board.
Doing your thing. And then you just die.
Yeah, you thought you signed up for a no rush 20 and your opponent just comes in cheating. Not your fault.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's definitely, I think, why Mono Red did well, because it just has a really strong matchup. So if you're playing against a lot of Drake decks and you're looking to beat on them, I think that's probably a step in the right direction. I also think that the Mono Blue deck probably has an okay Drake matchup.
Yeah, it's probably fine.
It's probably not as good as Red. Red is probably very good. But I think the Blue deck also, because, they play Shocks, which is a little more annoying, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the Drake deck plays Shocks is what I mean.
Yeah.
The Drake deck leans pretty heavily on dive down, at least out of the board, right? They don't have many hard counter spells main.
Yeah, it's like retort. Sometimes they have
and they lose a lot of steam if a Mono Blue deck just retorts a Crackling Drake.
Yeah. No, he's talking about the Mono Blue deck, not the Drake deck.
Oh.
But
now you find it.
Yeah. Main, I think they just play on Essence Scatter. Yeah. Okay. They play but they play 4 dive down main, and then post board they still don't really have a lot of ways to stop. Or Drake doesn't have a lot of ways to stop them. They don't have to worry, and they can Essence Scatter Drakes. I don't know. It's probably good for Mono Blue. But mono red definitely just smashing.
Stepping over these dead bodies.
Yeah, this mono blue deck, I mean, also, man, speaking of the old week that was, I was playing some standard. I went out to the old local to play some standard.
To the local what?
To the local game store.
Which one?
Oh, Wizard Tower.
Oh,
Were you just there to play standard, or did you need some singles?
Yeah, well, I also picked up some singles, actually.
Oh,
Now that
really?
you
They
mention
had
it.
everything you needed, I assume?
Yeah, everything. I was no short. And in fact, even if I didn't live in Ottawa, they would have shipped it no matter where I was in Canada for free
That's a great deal. Where can I find them online?
on wizardtower.com.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, great store, great people, and great sponsors of this podcast.
That was a good one.
Yeah, it was good. And I was there.
We're getting good at this.
Hucking some cardboard. And I was playing green-white tokens. And, to Cam's credit, I smashed the mirror because I had Song of Frailes. My opponent didn't. And I ran him over with it. Both games 1 and 2, it was just very good.
Mm-hmm.
Even late game, obviously. When
Yeah.
we were board stalled. It was insane. But I got unbelievably demolished by mono blue playing green white tokens.
Oh, yeah.
I had no answers.
I don't know how you ever win.
Well, okay, I did win. I did win game 2 because he mulled, and I had a very aggressive start with Amar, and he just didn't cast anything and died. And then, but other than that, like the games I lost, he just played a flyer and then played a Curious Obsession. And,
Yeah. Like that matchup isn't good for green black, and they have a lot more interaction.
Yeah.
Green white, I was like almost done.
I was like, well, I guess I'll take game 3. I was like, guess I'll tap out for this conclave tribunal. Like, ladies, like dive down. I'm like, yeah, that's game. Just, you know what I mean? Your removal's so clunky and awkward. And like, they don't care. You don't actually put a lot of pressure on them. You don't really interact. Like, he just stomped me, and there's no way to fix the matchup. Like, I boarded in the 2 settles, but like, that's not. This wizard retard you. Like, they just counter it.
like they're going to sideboard that card out.
Yeah, like they just don't care what you do. You just kick my teeth in. So yeah, the mono blue deck, and like you said, it's got an okay green black matchup.
Yeah. It's
Okay to good.
Yeah.
People don't respect the deck.
No. You're playing like clunky big walkers, and they just like play a Tempest Gin and can protect it, and you die.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how you lose to the Drake decks in game 1 too.
Mm-hmm.
You just
Flyers are tough.
Yeah.
Flyers are hard times. Flyers busted unfair mechanic.
get it out of here. I'm trying to play green black mid range. Like you don't really. People are like, oh, it's not that bad. You can like Hungry Dog, or Chupacabra.
Yeah.
You can Chupacabra Drake. I'm like, no, because it maximize velocity. They just like 11 you out of nowhere, and you can't win through that.
God damn.
Yeah, it's so bad. It's such a bad matchup. It gets better, like you said. You've been playing
So I've added Necrotic Wounds to my deck in the sideboard.
Sideboard, yeah.
Yeah, that card's very good against them. But honestly,
But stuff also has to die, which can be a problem.
the biggest issue out of the Drake deck is if they have an Electromancer on 2. Because like you have no way to kill it until like turn 4.
Then they just storm you.
And then you die.
Yeah.
Because I'm not trophying it.
Well, no, because you just ramp them and then they play a Crackling Drake on your empty board.
If you're playing a cast down or 2 in your deck, like you have to have it. And then if they just untap on 3 with a Electromancer, like it's not looking good.
No, it's rough.
Yeah. That is the biggest issue. Like I can get through a couple Drakes, but Electromancer that's just helping you churn through your deck is
Because they just play a Phoenix from there right away.
Yeah.
Like they'll just instantly play a Phoenix that turn if they can. Sometimes 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they have double chart, of course, the Phoenix, you're dead.
Yeah, it's not good.
They can have some insane nut draws. The Drake stack's really good. I think it's game 1 for sure is a rough matchup for green black, but I think it gets better post board.
Yeah.
But it's still rough. Like it's not it's not an easy matchup ever.
No.
It's really threatening because stupid Flyers.
Yeah.
I mentioned this in the Discord a week ago, and I'm still curious about it, but I don't know what world it's good. But I am curious about in green black decks just always having access in some capacity in the 75 to a Multani and an Arcos Bloodfast. Because I think that combo of those 2 cards is really powerful. And I think because, we were talking about this in the pre-show, but no one plays Vraska's Contempts, and they're overloaded on targets. That in the mirror, actually, Multani is like
Well, I think
huge.
No one played Vraska's Contempts.
They're going to now.
Now I think we're in the world now where everyone's going to be playing 3 or 4.
I think you have to play 4.
Yeah. That's
I think at this point, the strategy of green black is to play Golgari Finebroker back their Planeswalker so that.
Let's talk about. We've been talking about this kind of a lot today, but the green black mirror, which is a thing will come up because let's be real, Jeskai and green black are the two most popular decks in this format right now.
It's not by miles though. It's like they're like 5 and 6% of the format. You know what I mean?
But they are the most popular. Yeah. People are still kind of accepting green black as the best deck of the format.
Yeah, it's kind of the tier 1 deck.
Yeah,
it's not S tier. You know, it's not like tier 0. It's just really good.
Yeah, and I mean, if you are playing green black, the mirror will come up a lot, and you know, it's people are we realize, but people are starting to realize now that we're going to start seeing Vraska's Contempt's uptick. Is that the only thing that matters in the mirror match is walkers,
Planeswalkers, and Vraska's Contempts.
Yeah,
because they'll just block. And you will also just block to protect your Planeswalkers because their loyalty is so high. 1 or 2 creatures can get through and still not kill a Vraska 6.
Yeah.
So the creatures don't matter. Mm-hmm. And also, they can't get you with a Find Finality turn and kill your Walker in the same turn because it -4 is their guy that lives. So they usually can't, you know what I mean? Like, it's easy to play around Find Finality as well. So the Walkers always live. And just you have to have answers to them. Mm-hmm. Or you will lose. Yeah. We played leagues last night, and we played. It's funny. We played a bad control deck that we beat, and then we played. Is it Drake's? And we played mono red, and then 7 green black mirrors, and we won every.
One was a junk.
Oh yeah, sorry. One was a junk deck.
Yeah.
But we won every. We won every match, and we won every mirror, and all of them, all 7 matches were decided by Planeswalkers, without fail.
Remember, like a couple months ago, when we said because there are these unkillable threats in the format, like Hazoret and Scarab God, these kind of badly designed cards you can't get rid of, you have to play 4 Contempts. But, you know, maybe that requirement will ease up a bit post-rotation. Turns out there's still Planeswalkers in these formats, and they're unkillable threats.
yeah, because everyone just has dumb, you know, the green-black decks play 24 creatures. And they're all low-to-the-ground creatures, just trying to hit their land drops.
Yeah.
That's why they have so much trouble with flying.
Low-to-the-ground creatures that allow you to hit your land drops and churn through your deck to find your Planeswalkers.
Right, that's right. And that's why Midnight Reaper's so good in the mirror.
Yeah. Well, even the Explorer dudes, they just get to like 1 or 2 cards off your deck that aren't a Planeswalker.
Yep. You're just either looking for Vraska's. So if you play the mirror, right, I think you should be, I honestly think you should be playing 4 Vraska's Contempts in green-black right now. I think you should find the space, make it happen. I think you can cut a Chupacabra, you can cut all the Wild Growth Walkers.
Yeah.
You can just cut that card, cut the Seeker Squires, and just play Branch Walkers, 2 Cast Downs, an Assassin's Trophy. You know what I mean?
I'm not sure I'm on board with cutting Seeker Squire. I think 2 is a good number to have.
Never played that card. Never will.
I'd rather have Walkers over Squires if I'm going to play 2 of something, to go with my Branch Walkers and Jade Lights, to like help the mono red matchup. And
I don't know.
Yeah, I'd rather play Wild Growth Walker than that.
At least it gets big, and in the mirror, it gets big enough that it can start attacking at Planeswalkers, where Squires just isn't going to do that.
I don't know. I've been liking 10 Explorer dudes in all the matches I've been playing.
I just played for more power. Like, I played for more... Like, I didn't play those because I was playing more Walkers and more Vraska's Contempts. So I cut those because I would just rather have answers to Walkers and really problematic things. And so...
I mean, if you're looking for...
we talked about this on the pre-show, and I think this is important, is your sideboard for the green-black mirror, actually, the more I think about it, should have a Deadeye Tracker.
Yeah. You want to explain why?
Yeah, and not Deathgorge Scavenger.
Yeah.
So I was really big on Deathgorge Scavenger. I still think it's really good, but it just doesn't line up right now. There's a few reasons. The Drake deck will do it in the same turn. They'll bring back their Drake the turn it enters the bin, so your Deathgorge Scavenger's never tagging it. I mean, occasionally it will, right? But like, you're boarding a card in hoping that lines up instead of it just automatically doing something, right? I don't know about that. Like, that makes me, I'm not sure that that's good enough. And I don't think it's impactful enough in a matchup that's already difficult. In the mirror, let's say you get something, you know, you're not stopping what they're targeting with Golgari Finebroker. They still get something back.
Yeah, and getting a second trigger out of it is very difficult.
It means it's dying.
You almost never get to attack with it.
Right, because you're attacking with a 3/2, and then it's just getting blocked by something.
Yeah.
And that's
gets blocked by everything.
Yeah, and that's not good enough. Like, that's not a good enough card. Whereas Deadeye Tracker can stop Golgari Finebroker because you can do it at instant speed and exile what they target. You can stop Eldest Reborns. You can stop a bunch of stuff, and it grows bigger. You
Yeah.
can keep their graveyard out. You can shutting off Golgari Finebrokers is huge. You shut off Find Finalities. It can grow out of the range of finality.
Does it
Right?
exile from any graveyard? Can you like turn off them trying to take your stuff with Eldest Reborn?
Let me find out.
Well, like the fact you shut off their portion of their Find Finality is massive.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
From an
opponents.
opponent's
Okay.
I thought it was, but wanted to be sure. So yeah, I think that's really important. Like I think Golgari Finebroker is one of the creatures in the mirror that matters the most. It's maybe one of the best creatures in the mirror.
Yeah.
There's two creatures, in my opinion, that matter the most in the mirror: Midnight Reaper and Golgari Finebroker. You can beat a Carnage Tyrant. You know what I mean?
True.
Like, you can deal with it eventually by double blocking or whatever. But you won't beat a Carnage Tyrant if you don't have Vraska's Contempts, because you can't attack through a Carnage Tyrant. You pointed this out in the pre-show that you can't attack through a Carnage Tyrant because, you don't.
Yeah. You have nothing big enough.
It's, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could attack with your own, but then you're just trading. And it's so, if they have a Planeswalker and defended by a Carnage Tyrant, that's a problem. But if you're playing the 4 Vraska's Contempts and like an Assassin's Trophy or 2, you should be fine.
Yeah. And like, let's be real, every green-black deck now is playing Carnage Tyrant in its main deck.
Yep.
So you will get to board stalls where you just have 2 Carnage Tyrants staring at each other.
Yep.
And then Planeswalkers ticking up behind them. So you have to be able to get around that board situation.
You have to play Vraska's Contempts. I think 4. Like, because of this situation just being the norm now. I think it's insane not to.
Yeah. 4, you could play 4. 3 is probably the minimum.
I don't
that you should be at.
think it's right at this point. Because like just look at exactly what you're describing. Like, would you take that risk?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Depends.
So-
Like realistically, that's not the only deck in the format, but
Yeah, no, I know. I think you should at least have the 4th in the board then.
yeah, I can get on board with that.
So yeah. But it's all over the place, that deck, right? So anyway, yeah, so the cards that matter, and Deadeye Tracker is just a really good sideboard option for people if they're curious about how to get ahead in the mirror. I think Scavenger was better before, but now I think Deadeye Tracker is better. And it has the potential to grow out of finality range and shuts off their final. Like, it just does so much.
Yeah. Do you guys want to comment a little bit on the deck that won New Jersey? This Jeskai control deck.
Benson, our the old Disorganized Wizards Club social media manager, Benson. He just hype about this.
Yeah, he's been playing the Azure Gateway expansion explosion like Jeskai control for a while now.
The meme explosion.
Yeah, because he says it has a very good control matchup, and locally there was just a bunch of control decks, so he'd just keep playing it. He admitted that because you're playing Azure Gateway, you can't ever beat aggro, but no one here was playing it, so he just kept explosioning people for 20.
Yeah, I mean, it's good against mid-range decks and the control mirror because you pitch your bad cards to Azure's Gateway.
Yeah, that's actually an argument that Benson was making. I think he was like half serious, half joking when he made the argument that game 1, because you have dead cards, Azur's Gateway is better than Search for Iskanta.
Yeah, I think he was half joking.
Right,
But it's still good. Like, I get what his point. He was just trying to, you know what I mean? Like,
And his point was that with his main point was that with Search for Iskanta, game 1, you can still accidentally draw dead cards in control mirrors, but Azur's Gateway, you can never draw dead cards because you're able to filter them out of your hand.
yeah. And flipping it just wins the game.
Yeah.
And I like that this list, and I saw there were other lists actually, quite a few, even just non sort of Azur's Gateway 4 explosion decks. In the European GP, we're also playing Star of Extinction. Just Jeskai control decks, we're playing Star.
Yeah.
I like this because what's that kill? All the Planeswalkers
Kills
and
everything.
Carnage Tyrant.
Kills everything.
Yeah, out of green-black. Like, it's a clean sweep, like a reset button. When they have one card in hand, and you're worried, and they're not playing Eldest Reborn in anything, like things that you have to really be worried about, like in the same way. Star of Extinction can be a really huge reset button for you.
Yeah.
So
Everything here makes sense to me, except the 2 divinations.
yeah, there's a bunch of people playing it. I think they just wanted to see
Draws
more
2 cards, man.
Oh,
It's
right.
also it's also a 3.
Yeah, play Secrets of the Golden City.
Oh yeah, right. That's easier on the mana. They're definitely worried about the double, about double.
Yeah,
blue.
like this deck's not playing, what's the name of that card? Sinister Sabotage.
Sure, but like you just tap your Azure Gateway for like 20 blue and you're fine.
But yeah, that's
How are you flipping it if I can't exile a 3?
that's why.
You just exile the
you know
3
what?
you can't cast.
I would like to see, however, in all these Azor's Gateway decks, maybe it's too cute, but if we're playing divination, we're thinking about exiling things like this and exiling a star possibly. I would like to see Ralzeric in these lists because the minus with Azor's Gateway counts for exile cards as well, right? And Azor's Gateway exiles off the loot. So your Ralzeric, even if you haven't been doing anything, you could minus your Ralzeric and still
That's
kill something.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
like this deck actually plays well with Ralzeric, right?
And Crackling Drake.
Yeah, and Ralzeric is actually a lot stronger than it seems.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing 2 cards is really good. So
Yeah. So one of the copies of Jeskai and the GP New Jersey was playing a Ralzeric
yeah,
in its main deck.
I like that a lot.
Then the copies, I think both the copies in Lil were both playing. They were playing Ral.
Yep. Yeah, Ral.
both of them.
I think that if you're playing a red control deck, a deck with red in it, that you should really consider playing a Ralzeric.
Yeah.
Even if it's just one, it's just it plays so well with Chemister's Insight. And like I said, I think I said this 2 weeks ago or something, that looking at 2 cards is just so much more than one.
That is
It's
more
so-
cards than one.
Yeah,
That's
but
why
I-
Vivian's so nuts. She looks at 4.
Yeah, exactly. You just impulse every turn, like you
Yeah.
said. Yeah, get this.
Basically demonic tutor.
Yeah, like it just if it was just plus draw card, but it wouldn't be nearly as good. But yeah, just the selection on it is so powerful.
Yeah.
I don't know. Ral's a lot better than I think people give him credit for.
Mm-hmm.
Just
And again, his loyalty's high, man. Right,
It
pluses
is,
to
yeah.
6.
Yeah. Very high.
Right, like these planeswalkers are impossible to kill.
That's why you got to play Vasquez Contempt.
Yeah, again, you're not attacking them down.
Yeah. So Jeskai had the best conversion rate this past weekend into top 8s. Could you see that coming? Did you think it was going to have as good of a weekend as it did?
I thought it would be really popular. And I actually don't think the green-black matchup is that bad. I think it's pretty good. Like I think it's okay
I don't
for
think
them.
it's that bad either.
I think they're actually pretty strong and they're really flexible. I think the control decks are really good. I didn't think it'd be these versions, like the 4 Revitalize, 3 Crackling Drake, Jeskai control list. I did not think that would be the case.
Man.
But I'm not surprised to see a bunch. I think that as a result of this and the result of Jeskai being on the rise, we probably see the rise of like maybe other control decks that prey on control. This on Jeskai.
Like what?
Well,
Esper.
like Esper and Grixis like can beat Jeskai no problem.
What style of Grixis and Esper? Are we talking like disinformation campaign decks? Or,
I mean, that beats it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Esper doesn't matter what style. If you got a Chromium,
Yeah, that's
you
why.
probably can't lose.
It's just Chromium.
I played against Chromium a bunch. So like over the last weekend, I was playing my version of Esper Control against our friend Hassan a bunch, and he had like 2 Chromium main in his Esper deck. Just a nightmare. I beat it 1 game because I flipped 2 treasure maps, and over like those in a search, I drew 6, 7, 8 extra cards, and finally killed it like the turn before I died.
Yeah.
Every other game it crumpled me.
Yeah, Chromium is just ridiculous. So Esper is big for that. The Grixis fake news deck, which I posted in our Discord, right? I don't know if you saw. It's the one
Yeah, I
Hemsley
saw
and
it.
I had been talking. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
Hemsley 5-0'd with it, and I mean that deck's just preying on control, right?
Yeah.
It's two drops are just gonna Thought or Azure you into fake news, into Bolus, into Eldest Reborns. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just a nightmare for control. So those color combinations have a good control matchup because they play Vraska's Contempt. They can just kill your Teferi and deal with everything else, But Jeskai's better, I think, against the broad field, right? Jeskai's better against mono red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Justice
I
Strike
wanna be
goes a long
playing-
way in that matchup.
Yeah, Justice Strike's really good. I want to be playing the 4 Revitalized control deck if I'm playing, you know what I mean? The Azor's Gateway deck if I'm playing,
Yeah.
versus aggro decks.
Yeah. So after this past weekend, with all the standard you guys have been playing and seeing what decks did well, where are you for this weekend? Because I know this weekend is Pro Tour Wizards Tower here in Ottawa, the
Yeah.
Wizards Tower 2K Open Championship.
Yep.
If you are in Ottawa, definitely check it out. It's one of the best tournaments they host
Yeah, it's
all
great.
year. Fantastic tournament. 2K store credit prize. It's standard, split formats. First 4 rounds standard, then 3 rounds draft.
Yep. And then cut to top 8.
And top 8 standard again.
Certainly I'm playing. You guys probably both
Yeah.
going to play as well?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I don't know what I'm going to bring.
Yeah, we're deciding on lists still, but
No idea.
one of us is going to play green black, I'm certain.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you could play absolutely anything.
Well, we can play whatever we want.
No, yeah, but like if both of you could play absolutely anything.
I for some reason though, I guarantee we just both don't end up at the same 75.
Yeah, that's
Never
why
happened.
that's why this is such a good question, because we can get different points of view.
I don't know. Like I like scheduled time to think about it tomorrow
Yeah, we'll
because
probably
I've been busy this week. So like I don't know. I haven't
probably
thought
get
about it.
some late night testing and last minute testing.
Yeah, something like that. Like if I play a control deck, it's going to be Esper because I think your Drake matchup's fine if you like just pack some Essence Scatters and you can block with Chromium. Like if you need to, I don't know. I really like Chromium. If I play control, it's going to be Esper. Otherwise, maybe green, black, mid range, or mono red.
3 decks. Adam?
I don't know. It's a really hard question. I would consider playing the green black list I've been playing lately. I think it's really good. I'm happy with it. I'm happy with this Planeswalker selection. I'm happy with my understanding of the mirror. That I played 7 mirrors last night and won them all very easily. Just by knowing what mattered and what to kill and when to use my removal spells and not being impatient. You know? And I felt ahead. You know, like I felt comfortable playing against people with it. So I would consider playing that.
Yeah.
Just because it's the style of deck I'm pretty comfortable with knowing how to win, like what the game plan's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And I'm comfortable very comfortable sideboarding, you know. So I would probably consider playing green black. If not, I will play the Grixis fake news deck that Matt 5-0'd with because I'm a big fan of that deck and I think it's funny.
That deck is sweet.
I think it's probably very good.
Yeah.
And I don't think a ton of people show up with mono blue and mono red.
I think it's going to be
And because it ain't beating those cards. It's not beating experimental friends.
from like what I've seen people playing recently and like being excited about. I think it's going to be a lot of various weird control decks and Drakes, and then like some green black decks will be the most of what shows up to tower.
And I think Grixis in general, like not just Grixis fake news, Grixis control has a good Drake matchup.
Yeah.
I've been playing it on Moto. I've shared different lists, and I went back to a couple lava coils recently with Grixis, and I've just been having no problem. I have Moment of Cravings. So is the fake news version, but the non-fake news version I've been playing, you know, just
Moments
kill
for the Electromancer are really nice.
Yeah, you just Moment of Craving the Electromancer, you lightning the Drake, and then you play a Nico Bolas, and that also trades for a Drake, and they're out of cards at that point, and then you play Ralzarek, and they lose. Like,
I put a Tezzeret in front of them once, and they can't get past the thought.
yeah. I also added a Tezzeret to my Grixis control list because of a few reasons, but Vinemare being one of them.
Card's good.
Yeah, dude, put the Thopters block Vinemare. There's no other creatures in my deck can block stupid Vinemare. The Thopters are insane, and so yeah,
That's so funny.
my win rate definitely went up with that deck, dude. When I added that card, so
Yeah.
I think it would choose between Grixis and green black.
I'm either gonna play green black or Abzan. One of the two. I've been playing both those decks nonstop for like weeks and weeks now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Abzan deck's also a consideration for me because we've both been playing it. Shalai is so good in it.
I think it's actually very well positioned because Night of Autumn just is so good in like every matchup.
Yep. Yeah, hitting Experimental Frenzy. Like maybe it's better
Hits
than
Frenzy,
green black.
hits Gateways, hits every enchantment out of green-white decks. Like, it's good.
It is very good.
Even hits Eldest Reborns in the mirror. Shalai, fantastic.
Well, no, people are gonna justify playing 2 Vraska's Contempts when you have 5 Planeswalkers and a Shalai. Okay, pick one. Eventually you run out and now you can never use your Chupacabras.
Yeah.
Except for on Shalai. Like
So I've been playing that deck a lot and I really like it. You lose a little bit of the mana consistency, obviously.
It's not that bad though.
It's not bad. I think the mana base I'm on right now is pretty good. It's just like you can't really play Memorials because it's just too greedy.
That's actually one of the best cards in green black.
It's
Memorial to Folly is
card,
amazing in green black.
Yeah. So I haven't quite decided yet if the benefit of playing the white cards outweighs the costs, but I will certainly put my deck list up in our Discord before the weekend.
I will as well.
Yeah.
yeah, they'll be up in our deck list channel, each thing we're going to play.
And speaking of our Discord, I want to give a shout out to all of our patrons so far who have joined the Patreon. If you want to support the podcast, you can find us on patreon.com/DWC Podcast. And we have a few shout outs we want to give for our, what's the name of those tiers?
Oh, for our Wizard and Archmage.
Yeah, Wizard and Archmage supporters.
Yeah.
Huge shout outs to Aaron.
Our sophomores and seniors.
Shout outs to Aaron, Arden, Daniel, Domingo, James, Mike, Thomas, Tim, Trevor, Tyler, Ursulus Gaming, and Will.
Yeah. Big shout out. We really appreciate the massive support. It's huge for us. It's kind of allows us to go to events now too.
Oh, yeah.
That are, and it's just everything. Like our equipment is, I don't know, it helps. It's just amazing.
Yeah, the support is really fantastic, and we really didn't quite expect all of the support we've gotten.
Even
so
a
far.
huge shout out to everyone though. Like not
everyone
all the apprentice,
in the Discord,
all the Discord. The community's been great. I was sitting on campus in my office doing a bunch of marking and work, but I was also actually just on the Discord.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we
just talking about decks.
I started keeping a phone charger with because, like, for the longest time, I only had one charger. Finally got a second one, so I've had one with me and one that I leave at home now. And because I have a charger with me, I can just, read chats and keep up on group messages and Discord and stuff
on
like
my phone
while I'm just on campus.
Yeah, because my phone dies so fast.
Yeah, exactly. You need the second charger.
Yeah, I know. I got to get that. But I have a desktop in my office, right? So I just log on to Discord now there. So
yeah, but this way lets me think that I'm actually working because it's just my phone.
Yeah, no, I have no illusions about slacking off while I'm supposed to be doing my own research and work.
But yeah, if you wanted to check it out and support the podcast, patreon.com/DWC Podcast. We have some sweet rewards in the works. Custom DWC tokens are on their way. They're looking sweet.
Sketches we got the sketches from the artist done.
Yeah. All patrons get access to the Discord, and if you want to join the DWC community, get on that.
As soon as we get the tokens, they'll be mailed out to our supporters. I'm stoked. The art looks sweet.
They look really cool. I'm very excited about them.
Yeah.
But anyway, we have a topic this week that we hinted in our pre-show last week. We're going to talk a little bit now about limited and sideboarding.
Yeah, this was a listener request that had come up a while ago, and then we just had been bogged down with other conversations.
Yeah, sideboarding and limited. The one thing a lot of players, and I'm very guilty of this of myself, overlook and don't do enough.
Well, you don't register a sideboard, so why should you bother?
You're
right. Cards are in my sideboard for a reason,
Cam. You do. You register your entire pool, so you got a huge sideboard.
Yeah, I don't register my whole standard collection.
They're in my board for a reason, Cam.
4 of standard. Let's go. You, me, store credit.
That'd be wild. Like, just everybody, you can play any decks you want in standard. It's like a best of 9. You can just sideboard into different decks, try and mind game your opponent.
Yeah. Should have done that for the DQ Invitational I never hosted.
Yeah, that can be the finals.
Yeah. But, this is something that I think is actually, like Alex said, just wildly overlooked strategy and limited. I think it's actually way more important than people realize.
Yeah. And it goes, it goes past just during games, especially when it comes to draft, because you have to draft your sideboard cards, and a lot of the times people don't really.
Yeah, they'll just take whatever. There's no playables pack for me, but I mean, there might be a plummet. You should have taken that. You should actively think about taking that over a vanilla grizzly bear. You probably won't make the cut anyway.
Yeah.
These sort of late picks in the pack that you're like, well, maybe I'll play this vanilla creature. It's like, well, do you already have 9 playables after pack 1? Because then you're probably safe. You can take the sideboard card instead that might actually affect a matchup in a very dramatic fashion, right? Take the Broken Bond instead. Take the Artifact or Enchantment removal for sideboard games.
Yeah. Take the what is the name of that card? Meta something Vapors.
Oh, yeah. Metamorphic or Metaphytic.
Is that it? I feel like it's something.
The 3 mana -1/-1.
The Spooky Mist.
What?
Yeah, that one.
That was a good. Yeah. Cards that never make your main deck, but are
actually incredibly warping in in format, if you draw them and they're really powerful, people tend to just overlook these things.
Yeah.
And that's just one of several things I think people overlook.
So there's the obvious sideboard cards in limited. Your plummets, your disdainful strokes, your
That card's probably main board.
disdainful strokes very good. But there's your other you have some big removal spell that maybe you don't want to main because Boros is really popular, but it's good against the Selesnya deck trying to convoke out huge things. There's these obvious ones, but then there's less obvious cards, which are these quote unquote bad cards, right? Like Candlelight Vigil, Ghost Form was in M19. These cards that are unplayable, but if you're playing against someone who can interact with them, can be very powerful. Like Candlelight Vigil is not a bad effect if your creature's not going to get killed.
Yeah, they don't have bounce and they don't have removal in the Boros Mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll just put this on his Healer Hawk.
Yeah, go to town.
Thanks for coming out. I can't lose now. I just have
Yeah.
Baneslayer.
Yeah.
So
That's a big one, and it's worth. Yeah, when you're like, well, this card's on play, it doesn't matter. I'll take the foil land. It's like take the Candlelight Vigil.
yeah, and it's worth when you look at a pack and there's really nothing to pick, you've got 15, 20 seconds to make your pick if you're at a comp draft. If not, you can just wait as long as you want. Presumably, some of the people you're drafting with. Just think through, is there ever a scenario where this bad card isn't bad?
Yeah.
And then maybe take it.
And there probably is.
Yeah.
There's got to be at least one.
Almost certainly.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, cards aren't only ever in a vacuum.
Yeah.
They're all relative to what's happening in the game state. And in limited, that's pretty common that, changes in matchups.
Yeah, exactly. So, late picks and packs, you should always be looking for these hate cards or sideboard cards or just taking cards in general that are in your colors because there probably is some, small situation where that card could be useful.
And you should probably you should be more willing to take these cards than to try and cut your opponents with hate drafting.
Hate drafting.
People like hate drafting. I don't know why. It seems like sort of a clever move, right? But almost any pick where you're hate drafting, just take a sideboard card because that could be, it's like a hate pick for multiple matchups.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's just better because you don't know that they'll play what's that late anyway.
Yeah.
Unless it's objectively insane.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes hate drafting is correct.
But that's actually very rare. I think it's quite rare.
I hate draft all the rares.
Yeah. And one of the things is to note is that in your early picks, you should also be thinking about, okay, well, what might come back for sideboard options if I'm going into these colors. This is pretty extreme. You'd have to be, on the hamster wheel going pretty fast, but.
Yeah, but when you look at your first pack or early packs, I still have a lot of cards in them. Some of those cards will wheel, and it's generally not the good ones because people like to pick good cards early.
True.
Yeah, you might not have known. Sometimes you can't tell, but they try. And so it's going to be these mid-tier cards that you can expect to get later, that you can expect to come around on the wheel. And so you can kind of maybe start shaping a sideboard plan or pick a better creature that's on the ground rather than a flyer if you have no flyers, if you saw a plummet earlier that you think might come around. Something like this.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And then sort of related to the next part about picking a bad guy on the ground and how they line up, playing Grey Ogres.
Oh, yeah. The stat swap.
This is an important
This is your point, Adam.
I think this one is just wildly obvious to me and no one does it. And I do it all the time. And I wonder how many free wins I get
It's
because
probably the biggest single upgrade you could make to your limited game on this list.
It's wild to me that no one does this. And I do it every single time is stat swap. And what I mean by that is, let's say I have a couple, I don't know, this is a really sort of simple example, but my deck has 5 grizzly bears in it, right?
Sure.
And they're just kind of vanilla whatever, but I just had them for curve purposes, or who knows, maybe they have some late game value, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I have Yavimaya Shepherds. That's another good one for this example, right?
3 mana, 2/2 that makes a 1/1.
Yeah, pretty good card.
Sure.
Pretty good card, actually. 3 mana. I have 4 of them, right? Yeah. 4 or 5, but I don't really have any other payoff. They're just good because they clog up the ground, whatever. But I'm green-black. It's meh. But they're fine. But my opponent has played 3 or 4 2/3s. You have to board these out. You know what I mean? This card's good, but unless there's a really synergistic interaction going on in your deck, get these things out of your deck. This is something that's really important. And you board in Grey Ogres. You board in 4 mana 3/3s. You board in 4 mana vanilla 3/3s because you're literally going to get blanked. What are you going to use removal? You're going to use combat tricks for a 3-mana 2/3? Yeah, see in the O2 bracket. You know what I mean?
No.
Like exactly. And this happens in limited all the time. People are like, I just got stuck, and they like played a thing and I couldn't really do anything. Well, yeah, like, but you have like a bunch of vanilla 3/3s in your board, and you just got brick walled by 2/3s. So, yeah, like
Yeah. A good example from this format is what's the name of that crab? Wishcoin crab?
the 4-mana 2/5.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that card
Yeah.
nuts.
You ever attacking through that with a 3/3?
No. And if they play 2 or 3 of them, it's time to rethink what's going on in your deck. Like you might board in every Muse Drake you have, right?
Yeah.
Because it both blocks and attacks over that.
Yeah.
Right? So these things, like, they matter a lot in how your deck lines up. And these are easy things to swap out. And it's just, this is why also you don't concede in limited. You get as much information as you can because most people aren't doing this. And the more information you get, you can stat swap. I'm not saying you always stat swap, but it's pretty common. There's going to be a couple creatures or cards in your deck that just don't really line up and they're not what you're looking to do. And you'd rather just play another Devourer of Light because they're playing 3-mana 2/3s and they're probably not going to run you over. So you know what I mean? You just upgrade to way bigger things if you can.
And these are usually like your cards that were like your 24th, 25th card, the like vanilla 5-mana 4/5, the vanilla whatever creatures that you cut because, oh, they're just vanilla and I need cuts. These are where you bring them in. You bring them in over some of your 2-drops or over some of your 3-drops.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is something that I started doing it at, it's when I missed top 8 at GP Montreal. One of the people I played, I beat him, but one of the people I played would make notes of almost every card I played. And at first I thought, does he think I'm like cheating? He's gonna like check my deck list against the judge after he loses, like because I knew I was gonna smash him. My deck was nuts, and what's he gonna do? Like check all my cards? This is so weird, right? But it was because after like this is an extreme example, but he made notes of everything, and when he was sideboarding for limited, he compared everything he had seen and wrote down, like everything I played, he wrote down and was thinking about like how everything lines up and like what my deck would be up to, and he sideboarded accordingly, or for as much as he could and what he knew was bad in the matchup. And this is just something people don't do. And part of that step, Cam already jumped ahead to this point, is exactly with those 23rd and 24th and 25th cards that you cut. Right? The like vanilla 5-mana 5/5 green creature that you were like, Well, this is the card you should be ready to board in. Yeah,
they're not your main deck cards, but they're your playable cards. And so you're going to have a larger option of this, or a larger pool of these in sealed than you will in draft. But yeah, keep your like secondary playables separate. Like all the cards that were up for consideration that have made it into some decks that have done well at some point in this format. Like keep them in your deck box. Don't leave them off in your pool that you're not going to play. Don't put them with your color that you have no removal spells and no bombs in. And think about them in between games.
Yeah, this is a really important part of limited. Yeah, I just think most people just sort of, even high level tournaments, I've seen this happen, I don't think most of my opponents sideboard against me at the Pro Tour.
Really?
Yeah. Well, round 1 guy did, and he crumpled me. He knew my deck was like not very aggressive, and he just boarded into a bunch of Eldrazi and he smashed me.
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, no, he crumpled me.
Welcome to the Pro Tour.
Crumpled me. And then, my next 2 opponents didn't. Like, they just, we just played and I won or lost and whatever. But yeah, no, he like boarded in and boarded very well and crushed me. And I boarded wrong against him, So, yeah, he got me good.
I guess another part to this, like keep secondary playables separate. If you're playing sealed, since I doubt this happens in draft, also keep in mind and keep secondary strategies separate. Like you talk about these people like, oh, it's crazy, boarded into a different deck. Like, well, you're just impressed that someone can sideboard. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, not many sealed pools will be able to support 2 playable decks. But usually they can support 1 playable deck.
Not two distinct playable decks, but 2 different like if you hand somebody 2 different people the same sealed pool, they'll usually get to the same colors, but one person will build it slightly more aggressive than the other. And so you have these different takes on the same deck within the same pool.
Yeah.
I think my favorite thing on our notes is in this regard though, is just always board.
Yeah.
You should always be sideboarding something. There's got to be a card that's bad in a matchup. There just has to be.
Yeah, there has to be a creature that just gets brick walled or doesn't line up well, maybe a spell, like something. There is something always that you can swap.
There has to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all more efficient in the matchup.
Yeah.
And if you can't figure it out, you got to try.
If you're in a draft and you don't have anything, you probably drafted wrong.
Yep. You should go back to the first steps we just talked about.
Yeah.
And reevaluate.
Yeah. In sealed, there's probably no way you don't have something.
Come on.
Yeah.
You know?
Even, I mean, this is a really extreme case, but say it's like a really grindy mirror. Like it's just both of you are on like sealed control decks playing Muse Drakes and huge 6-drops. Like the game will go long enough that you will eventually draw enough lands so you can board one out to have more gas than your opponent.
Yeah, because it's not like standard control mirrors where you can't miss land drops.
Right.
It's not like that.
You just need more stuff, more big stuff. And so like
Yep.
boarding out one land, the chance that it impedes you enough that you are like sufficiently behind, assuming the game goes late, is like very low.
Yes, correct. I do this all the time. I'll often board out in any grindy matchup. I'll often board out a land on the draw for just like a vanilla 4-mana 4/4 or something.
Yeah, because your mana's better on the draw. The extra card you get starting going second, like makes the chance of you drawing the right number of lands like so much higher, which leads into our next point. I think I mentioned this on the podcast before, but a while ago I was kind of curious. And my friend of the show, Curtis, and I, we wrote this program to compute various probabilities related to Magic. And it turns out that if you're playing a 2-color deck, you have a certain chance of hitting, say, double blue or double white on turn 4. If it's a white and blue deck, that's higher than 0. And if you compute the same probabilities with a small splash, but on the draw, so if you board in like 4 swamps, which is what I did this one example, you still have the same chance of hitting your double blue and your double white on 5 because you've drawn an extra card this game. So if you want, if the game's going to be grindy, like the same idea of like boarding out a land to have more powerful things is you can board into splashes that you don't want disrupting, say, early double color spells when you're on the play. They're fine on the draw.
Yeah. This was something that people have been really resistant to even believing, even though it's a fact.
Yeah.
That from a probability standpoint, on the draw, your likelihood of turn 5 of playing your double blue or double white spell is actually the same, despite boarding out 2 plains, 2 islands, and boarding in 4 swamps.
Yeah, like really, really close to each other.
Yeah, I mean, enough that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And the power level, and you in this example, you were boarding in a Yawgmoth's Vial offering on the draw in slower matchups with boarding out, 2 of each of the island plains and bringing in 4 swamps. And the probability is basically the same. And the power level is in just through the roof that it's something people should probably consider more in limited games. That you can get away with the splash, specifically on the draw. And
it is like, so the most compelling rebuttal I've heard to this when I was telling someone was from Ben Moore, actually. And he was just said, if this card is worth doing that for, like Yawgmoth's Vial Offering is powerful enough that if your deck can support a splash, why wouldn't you also want it on the play?
Yeah,
which is a good point. And I think that's why I mentioned like these double color spells. I had like, I think a Merfolk Trickster and a Baird. Like I had strong double color requirements early on my curve that I didn't want swamps disrupting in the play.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, this is more of a broader drafting your deck thing.
Yeah.
Is that, if you can splash really powerful cards, you should draft them and do it.
Yeah.
But if your deck, the way your deck is constructed doesn't allow that, you should think about this for sideboarding, is basically the point. It's like,
it's an option. It's an option to keep in mind. And it's an option that I don't think it doesn't come to mind readily.
No, I would never even have thought that the probability was close enough to justify it. I would have,
Mm-hmm. Neither would I.
Yeah, I think it's the sort of most non-obvious point on our list.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's actually maybe one of the more enlightening things on this list is like, well, if you do early or, in pack 2, you're like, ugh, I don't want to pass this nutty card. It's so unbeatable. You should probably take the better card for your actual colors. But let's say you did it and then it didn't work out that you got any other cards in that color. Well, maybe you can splash it on the draw.
Or even in sealed, like the first pack you open in your sealed pool has some like nuts bomb, like Planeswalker 2, something. And then in the remaining 5 packs, there's no removal, no playable creatures like that. It's just alone off in the corner in its color. If you're playing one of its colors, or if it's a single color itself, like maybe you could bring it in on the draw some games.
Yeah.
Math checks out.
Ran the numbers, and we let them know. Just out here looking up for the NA scene.
All right, guys. Anything else on this topic?
No, I'm good. I think it's just a few things to remember, mostly always bored.
Yeah, if you're going to take anything away from this conversation,
Yeah, the biggest ones are just
always use your sideboard.
always sideboard and the stat swapping.
Yeah.
You think about these things.
Because the stat swapping is probably where you're going to find that something to always board.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think it's an important part of your limited sideboarding game. And play around with it. Make mistakes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Make mistakes and be like, ooh, I shouldn't have boarded that out. You know, I didn't have enough information. Things like that. Yeah. You'll learn. You'll make those mistakes, but you'll see when it is obvious and you'll feel pretty good about it.
Yeah. Right on. All right. Thank you all for joining the club this week. Make sure, as always, you check out wizardtower.com for all your Magic single needs. Free shipping on singles in Canada. Great stuff. Great content on their website. Great other podcasts like the Commander's Brew, articles, puzzles. You want it, you got it. Wizardtower.com.
Oh, yeah.
And also, if you want to support this podcast, you can find it on patreon.com/DWC Podcast. You can also find us on Twitter at DWC Podcast 1 or on Facebook at the Disorganized Wizard Club Podcast. And however you listen to this podcast, whether it's on Podbean, iTunes, podcast app, leave us a review, rate the podcast, share it with your friends. Everything helps keep this thing growing and bring it to new listeners.
Send us your blowouts and we'll send you stuff.
Yeah, we're also still doing blowout of the week.
Every week we send out prizes. Get at us.
We forgot to plug it for a while.
Yeah, we forgot to plug it, but I mean, it ain't going anywhere.
It's an eternal competition.
If you got a sweet blowout story and you want us to tell it on the air, you ship it to us. We'll tell it.
And we'll send you prizes.
Yeah.
It's what we do.
All right. Catch y'all next week.